your chair in the spotlight.
This is Annika who produced it.
Sorry, Annika hasn't who produced the film.
Annika produced it, and Anna did
Use the mic. Use your mouth.
And then, loads of people who were involved are here perched. There was Ellen who did the costumes, who was somewhere.
This is Charlotte's way of avoiding the attention, which is all on her, and you're really relaxed, aren't you? It's not often that you see a film where a severed penis gets a laugh, but I think that may be a first. It's funny how funny penises are, isn't it? That's what I kept on thinking. I had a plan, but it's gone out of the window. I kept on thinking when I was watching it again that it's. I mean, they're serious things, penises. You know, you ask any of the guys here.
And there's not a lot of them on screen. And also, Noam was not here, but he had to.
Who?
Noam was did all the sets and the production design, and he basically, when the doll arrived, because it's an actual sex doll.
It was made in California.
That was made in California, and when it arrived with its various penis options,
what were the penis options?
Well, we went for medium because we thought it would be.
What were they? Small, medium, large.
There was small, medium, large, and extra large, but this was the medium option.
Was this just length or?
I think I think it was length, but also we realised weight. Because it arrived and it weighed 2.5 kilos. And so there was no way it was going to be projected into the air. So you had to make a mold of it and make it out of foam.
But it's a very scrubbed up penis as well, isn't it? I mean, the doll is very scrubbed, isn't it? There's no sort of extraneous hair or or gunge or anything.
No, it's true.
Anything too human.
Anything too human. So it's true. I think it's basically like actually the factory in California have this thing where I think they use the same molds for economic reasons to make the bodies of the women and the men, and they just tweak, which is why the manly body doesn't look really. I mean, it's sort of it's like their standard model, and then we added the head. We customized the head.
And the head was modelled on a famous actor.
Yes, but sadly, who agreed
Murphy.
to it, by the way. Yes,
no, I was going to ask you, did Cillian Murphy agree to, did you have to get his permission?
We did. We had to get his, although quite worryingly, we asked the company in California if, we sent a picture and we were like, would you be able to do a face that would look like this? And they said, yeah, we could change a couple elements, but we could, sort of recreate this doll, which makes one believe that lots of people have celebrity dolls in their basement.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
It's really worrying.
Everyone does.
But then the doll face came back, and we were a little bit perplexed with Annika because it looked like Cillian Murphy, sort of, maybe like 40 years on in his career, from like in a period film or something. He had this sort of longish hair that the hair and makeup person Hugo Gamboa had to really work on to make him a little bit less sort of D'Artagnan like.
Let me ask a bit about the story. I was going to do a little introduction about Charlotte, but there's this pamphlet you can get which tells you everything about her you want
Sydney's
to know,
fault.
and it's on the desk at the back, and it'll tell you lots and lots of things about her, and it's all really interesting. But we have not a lot of time, and I'd like to spend some of that with anyone who's got sort of questions or observations from the audience. It would be nice to do that. But so this story, the original story, not your story, the one about
Oskar Kokoschka.
Yes, tell us about that.
Well, basically, I basically saw this crazy photograph of what looked like a human, sort of barely, and it was a figure of a woman covered in feathers with sort of black hair on the top of her and these crazy arched eyebrows, but basically sort of looked like a polar bear type thing. And I was like, what is it with breasts and a sort of vagina and a mouth? And I looked into it, and basically this guy, Oskar Kokoschka, who was like this 19th century painter, had an affair with Alma Mahler, who was Gustav Mahler's widow. And when she broke up with him, he was so traumatized, he basically ordered a life-size replica doll of her. And when she arrived, he wanted something really soft that he could sort of caress and have an affair with.
He gave instructions, very detailed
Very
instructions,
detailed
didn't he? Because
instructions.
about folds and it's all coded, isn't it? But
Yeah.
basically, he's ordering a sex doll in.
But before the age of silicone.
So it's made
what
of
came
cloth.
was made of like feathers for it to be soft. And he carried out this relationship with the doll for a year.
Well, he didn't. He wasn't very happy when he first got it. When it
No.
arrived, because he realised this may come as a surprise to some of you, but it was a big difference from a real person. Hence, and I noticed he called it the silent woman, didn't he?
He did, yeah, exactly.
Because that was one of the differences he noticed. It didn't answer back. But isn't that true?
No, it's
He
true.
couldn't have an argument with
But
it.
it's the perfection of dolls is yeah, exactly. They can't respond.
But he didn't like that, did he? Really, he wanted Alma, I think.
No, it's true.
But having said that, he did keep the doll for a long time.
Yeah, and he made amazing paintings of her. And then when he was over the relationship, he executed the doll.
But it was it wasn't just him. It was a party with a bunch of friends. They got very drunk. I hate to think what happened to that poor doll.
They chopped her head off, and then actually a policeman came, and they thought at the beginning it was a murder scene because there was wine spilt on this sort of fake doll who was in the garden. So we thought it was quite fun to keep that sort of the police person coming in as as the angle to reality.
All right, but so with Oscar, I mean, his relationship with that doll, which lasted a year, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't, it took him a year
It
to
didn't
get.
take him 15 minutes.
No, it took a year to get tired, to want to get rid of the doll, and I was kind of curious about, because you flipped it, so we have a woman who orders it, and I was kind of curious about whether you thought what the differences, if there are any, between your young woman's relationship with this doll and Oscar's relationship with his doll.
Oh yeah, but basically what happened is I guess I'd seen so many women dolls, and it was maybe a story I was less interested in replicating, and so I thought it was quite maybe interesting to reverse that. And have a woman ordering this male doll, but I guess like there's a kind of, we never wanted to make it too clear if she did have an affair with Cillian Murphy the actor, or if she's just a sort of stalker, if she did kill this person before, or if I know some people have come up and said that, so I was like, yeah, it could be, and then or if he just left her, and then it's her way of sort of getting to terms with the loss of someone, whatever that loss may be, if it's just that he left her or that she's grieving him. I think it's
Why does she want to get rid of him in the end, the doll?
Probably because we thought it was quite interesting that the journey of the doll turns against her, because basically what's interesting with a doll is it's very much like obviously a relationship with oneself, because the doll doesn't respond or doesn't it's basically like a mirror, and obviously it's often used in therapy groups or whatever to express things that perhaps you might not express normally. And so I think.
But there's a problem, isn't there? Because there's that whole notion of the uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is that the doll is never truly inanimate, is it?
Exactly. You keep thinking that it's going to come alive, or sort of. Yeah, exactly. I think that's always the tension that you think.
There's a moment there in that little menage when you've got the guy across the road, Simon, and he's masturbating, and then she's making love with this doll, and the only person that looks really happy in this menage is the doll at one point. I thought.
He's the only one who smiles.
I mean, he is smiling. But so yeah, so I mean, there's this in Sicily, in Palermo, where I was encouraging Philip to take you on a holiday. There is this amazing catacomb there, which has got 5,000 or 6,000 mummified corpses, and you're this far away from them. And I remember going there with a friend, and our plan was to film them and then write monologues for them. But the trouble is, we came back and we looked at this film of these corpses, and they were too eloquent that we couldn't write anything. You didn't dare go. And there's something similar going on here, I think, very much so.
Yeah, maybe.
Because those paintings that Oscar did were of him and the doll together.
Yeah, him and the doll, and they're quite crazy. There's some of just the doll where he's like pointing. He's pointing at her vagina, like, and very much like making it explicit. But this is like in 1917 or something, so it's quite
Before anyone
bold.
had sex, really.
Remember dolls officially. But now it seems like it's sort of like nearly, because like Simon actually, when he came, he was like, okay, so how do I react to the fact there's a doll? I mean, am I cool about it? Is it like, am I like just not hip that I don't know
He
that
looked
you
like
should
he was
have,
quite
like,
interested in the doll, I have to say.
so funny.
What did you tell him? What was the direction?
I can't remember now. I think it was just like basically it was the first time that she showed anyone else that there was a doll in her life, basically. So it was like kind of that moment of these three characters sort of coming together, meeting for the first time.
So what did he have to? What did he think?
What did he think?
Because she ends up with him, doesn't she?
Yeah, sort of. But again, like it's like I guess there's like a form of she's not very a straightforward person. So I guess there's a slight well, if I were him, I would have been a little bit a slight anxiety in carrying out a relationship with her. I think there's a little bit of where can this go?
Chopping off fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
Having dolls made of your previous lover. I think little things like that.
Things like that were little
He
giveaways.
doesn't. He's not bothered by that, is he?
Yeah.
In fact, he quite likes it, doesn't he? Hang on a sec. Before torturing you any further, does anyone have any questions or observations they'd like to make? As I say, we're on sort of borrowed time here. There's a gentleman down the front here. There's a.
I just wondered if you've seen the Chapman Brothers film.
No, the one with Sophie.
No, the one where they had an exhibition promised to them from a Spanish art dealer, and he reneged on the exhibition. So they made a fiberglass head
Amazing.
of him, but they put a penis where his nose is. And then they hired two prostitutes to use this head and penis.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
That's all.
Will you send it to me? That's
Yeah, of
so
course,
good.
Thank you for that.
Maybe they could be friends. We could do a new one.
Does anyone else have a question or anything they'd like to ask or say? Everyone's too frightened to expose themselves. There's a woman here. Yes. Who does the cat belong to? We need to know this. And why does it eat the fly?
There's a little dynamic, actually. Eva, who edited that, is over there.
Ava J. Lind, who was the editor, was now trying to escape. She put the cat in.
Yeah. No, but she was like, they were definitely finding there was like this sort of a secret dialogue between the fish, the cat, and the fly, who were all sort of like existing in this very dangerous trio of all being able to be eaten by the other.
Well, I think it does work. I think actually the fly being caught by the cat and eaten, like, it does play into it in that way. The same as the woman going under the water, and then you're with the goldfish. I think it does play out in that kind of way. I think where you're worried about all these things wanting to eat each other. Did you? You wrote the script for this as well as directing.
Yes.
No, sorry, it's not an it's not an accusation.
I'm really scared now.
Why? No, but did you, once you'd written the script, did you change it a lot when you were casting? Did you change it while you were shooting?
We kind of we sort of went for it, actually, and then the cast, we were lucky that all the people that we sort of were wanting agreed to do it. So Sophie, we thought would be great, and so and she thought it was quite funny, and so she was up for it. And then Simon, I was like, I'd only met once, and I was like, I think you'd be great in this, and I sent him the thing, and he was like, Yeah, thanks so much for thinking of me as the masturbating lunatic. but he liked the script, so he was like, okay, let's do it. And then Ben Miller like literally was on board like a day before he just had a baby, and so he was like, if I find someone to take care of my baby, I'm coming on set on Monday. We're like, okay, great.
So that script you wrote, you went into production with, kind of stayed the same as it was.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more in the editing, I think, that we chopped the big front section of the script.
They always say that's the second time it gets written, the script.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And I'm also sort of curious about, you know, some of your black and white stills and so on. They're very, very precise. And so, were you very precise about the way you set this up, or was it loose, or how did you play
It was
that?
super planned. We spent lots of time with Anne Evelyn, who's just there.
This is a very rare thing, by the way, a director who keeps on using the term "we" and pointing at other people who help make the film. It's a very rare thing. We'll see if it lasts. You know.
Well, we planned it very carefully, and we had lots of references for images, and we basically, the aim was to have as much as possible the visuals planned so that we could focus. Well, I could focus then on working with the actors while we were actually on set. So that worked well, and luckily Anne Evelyn and I have very similar references. So
It's a very beautiful looking film, but always black and white.
I don't know forever, but for now, yeah.
When you were imagining the film,
Oh, I thought in the future. Yeah, always black and white.
and
for
you
the song.
never weakened.
No, because I thought it was quite. I thought like the idea of a sex doll like existing in a black and white film. I don't know, because it's such a contemporary icon-looking thing that I thought actually just like give it a twist somehow. I don't know.
There was another question at the back there. Yes.
Hi, I loved it first of all, and it kind of felt like the intro to the beginning of a series about two like lovable freaks. Looking
You
forward
like
to
lovable
this series. My question is, where is the sex doll now? And did you have to get Killian's permission about what happens to the doll post-production? Because I'm sure he's a little bit nervous
This
about...
is a very good point.
That's
Just curious.
amazing. So the Killian doll is currently in
Is it on
storage.
eBay?
It's gonna go for high prices. No, but he's accepting job offers. Yeah. So we'll be representing him, or maybe Katie can manage him. He's got a strong career in front of him, looking at the real Killian. We thought of actually it could be fun to have the doll here and simply invite Killian's wife to the screening. but yeah, we.
Is he just going to live in storage?
No, he's got to come and make a grand debut. I've got in the flesh. We haven't quite figured out how it's all going to happen, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Did he have to
something.
like sign anything to be like, you can't?
Yes, he did. We had to. Oh no,
Use
not
my
for his
sex
page, but he
doll
didn't.
everywhere.
It's true. He didn't say anything about
Oh, so
posts.
it's up for grabs.
It's
you're
up for
saying.
grabs. Oh my goodness, this is great.
Bring him to the
So
bar.
if you notice how everything's sinking lower and lower and lower.
I know. Sorry.
I do agree. I did think. I think at the end, I thought maybe what would happen is that relationship wouldn't work out, and Simon would then
have a
have the
doll
doll made of
next.
her. That's when the story was really going to get going, and we'll be back to Oscar again. Do we have any one last question? We have. There's a woman at the back there. This is your last question. You need the microphone, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Charlotte, firstly. I was just wondering what's next for you. We've seen these amazing photographs and now the art film. I mean, are you going to continue in the direction of the art films or do the photography or try and do it all? Want to know what's next.
Trying to. Oh no, you're definitely trying to. Hopefully, the idea is that this may help to be able to make a feature, which is as a director. Basically, I've come from screenwriting, and I was very excited to get out of screenwriting and into, which Tony understands.
I don't quite understand this because the way I met Charlotte originally was that I read a really beautifully crafted, very delicate screenplay about Marilyn Monroe. which is called
Cab Ride Home.
The Cab Ride Home. There you are. So she's a very good screenwriter, and I think it would be a great thing if you wrote. I know you hate writing now that you've discovered the joys of direction, but I think you should
Joys
continue.
of being with other people. Out of the cave. Yeah. Sorry.
So what is next? A feature film?
Yeah, hopefully.
Do you know what it is?
No, not
Tell
yet. But I
us
do.
something
But
about
it's
it.
like yeah. But yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, we have to leave because they have a supper club here, but we're going to.
Because Tony.
Or something, but we are going to go upstairs, and so we're around then. I'm sure you've got lots of other questions to ask Charlotte, but I think a big round of applause for a
No, thank you,
great film.
Tony.